That may or may not be what the rebel yell sounded like. Apparently it depended on which battalion you were dealing with there in the Civil War. But the Confederate armies would scream like crazy people to try and scare the Union armies. And some people said it sounded like a rabbit. Some people said it sounded like a catamount, which apparently is a cougar, which I never knew. I think that's fake. And sometimes in movies like Gone with the Wind, they would just be like, yeehaw! So, who knows? It may have some Native American origins, or Scottish, whatever. You know, the Ku Klux Klan got their cross burning from the Scottish, but the Scottish did it this way. So, thanks for all the great traditions, Scotland. This is all by way of introduction, because I found something wonderful in today's BG News thing. The BG News. This is a very fine piece of journalism here that mostly has a crossword in it that I like to do, but sometimes they put the wrong clues in and I make threats, but only to Isaac, about how I'm going to firebomb their offices, because this is the one thing they got to get right. I don't give a shit about the rest of this crap, but I thought maybe there'd be something good in the opinion section today. That wasn't wrong. You know what I'm also not wrong about? How hot this vest is. But Isaac's dad thought that I might want it for some reason, so I'm wearing it. It's very warm though, it works. But also it's making me sneeze earlier, which is not good. Because I'm allergic to, green vests. I saw this. Mainstream media resembles that of Orwell's dystopian 1984. Came from the U-Wire, which apparently is code for college newspaper maker people are lazy. But it's by Matthew Jarzen from the Rebel Yell, which is the semi-weekly newspaper from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And I was like, Nevada was not in the Civil War, WTF. But whatever, apparently it used to be Southern Nevada University, so they were like, we want to be rebels. Devil with love to spare, so viva Las Vegas, viva Las Vegas. Anyway, I really think this Matthew Jarzen guy is a genius, and I thought that I would share the entirety of his article with you, which isn't in the BG News. So I went to the Rebel Yell website, unlvrebelyell.com, and I looked at Matthew Jarzen, and he's a prolific writer on a variety of subjects, including why America is now communist, why racism doesn't really hold people back, I don't know, a bunch of other crap. I haven't really looked at them, but they look good, so, this could just be the first installment in Lauren does a dramatic reading of an op-ed piece by college person Matthew Jarzen. Okay, here we go. This is September 21st, 2009. The headline in the Rebel Yell is our press really free anymore? Alright, so this is Matthew Jarzen now, not me. Even though it's probably going to sound totally like me. A couple months ago, I reread George Orwell's 1984. In the book, the main character, Winston Smith, works at the party's Ministry of Truth. His job simply entails rewriting newspaper articles to make whatever projections or statistics the party made accurate. For instance, if the party said that 100 million boots would be manufactured, but only 50 million were actually produced, Smith would correct the number, saying that the party projected 50 million boots would be produced. This is how I, Matthew Jarzen, see the mainstream national media, or as Rush Limbaugh has aptly dubbed, the state-run media, what you are actually seeing and feeling isn't accurately represented by the media. If you have ever had a chance to watch clips from actual state-run news agencies, such as those in Iran, Venezuela, or North Korea, you'll laugh at the absurdity of their reporting. But the same goes for our own national media outlets. Take the Acorn story, for instance. You may not even have heard about it if you don't watch Fox News, editor's note, or look at the internet ever, as they were one of the few who covered the story in detail. God, this thing is so hot. That's not part of the article. At the Baltimore office of Acorn, on September 12th, protesters in support of the 9/12 Project gathered in Washington, D.C. to protest the explosion of the power of the federal government, healthcare reform, cap and trade, and a list of other grievances. The protest, started by Fox News' Glenn Beck, matured into a powerful movement. And this alone was probably the largest conservative movement and protest in the history of the U.S., and many media outlets either did an extremely poor job covering it or didn't cover it at all. The varying attendance figures say it all. MSNBC, for example, said that there were only a few hundred people protesting. CNN only covered the outrageous and over-the-top signs carried by a few protesters. Fox News, however, did an excellent job of covering the story. How did other media sources cover it? Mostly they ignored it, or the ones who did cover it mislabeled the protest as simply anti-tax. The most extreme of these media outlets went so far as to say the motivation behind it was racial. This brings me to the manufactured outrage of Representative Joe Wilson's "You Lie" comment made during President Barack Obama's speech on health care to a joint session of Congress. The comment itself came after Obama said illegal immigrants wouldn't be covered under the health care proposals. Wilson vocally disagreed. The media were quick to pounce on the story. Instead of seeing if Wilson had any credence to his remark by investigating whether illegal immigrants would be covered by the health care reform, the media instead investigated Wilson as a person, trying hard to determine if his comments were motivated by racism. Following this comment, the House of Representatives, led by Speaker Nancy Pelosi, passed new rules about what can and cannot be said on the floor of the House, essentially taking the freedom of speech clause out of the First Amendment and wiping her derriere with it. Yeah, that's right. Matthew Jarzen just used French. Obama's green jobs czar, Van Jones, is another example. See, news and news reporting is no longer about what is happening, but what happened. Investigative journalism is no longer about digging deeper to find out the real story and true motivations, but just taking things at face value. Our national media are state-run. I remember the White House Correspondents' Dinner when Obama made the comment, "Most of you covered me, all of you voted for me," after which the press and the audience went wild with cheers and applause. With that in mind, I ask you this. Is what you're seeing and feeling really happening according to our media? Is it? Are they? What do you guys think?